We are live on The Drive with Charlie and Dan here on 104.5 The Team ESPN Radio, the free 104.5 The Team app. It is Thursday. Happy Thursday. It's Friday Junior, if you're of that mind. It's 2 hours away from 5 o'clock. There's a number of reasons to be excited right now, including this one, that you're listening to The Drive with Charlie and Dan. Dan Bahl with you here on this Thursday. No Charlie today, no Charlie tomorrow. No Charlie Monday. He's off for the long weekend. It's a federal holiday in the Volker household with Dead and Company coming up to SPAC. So he's got friends coming in. He's going to be gone for the next couple of days. Back on Tuesday when both The Drive and Big Board Sports is live at Mohawk Golf Club for the Capital District Charity Skins game. The last thing that came across, and you see this every year too, at the end of the Stanley Cup playoffs, we find out that, one player was playing through a punctured lung and, a couple of breaks and this, that, the end. You're like, these guys are nuts. But the one that came out from Paul Maurice, Matthew Tkachuk, who was really kind of the straw that stirred the drink for the Florida Panthers during the playoffs, fractured his sternum in Game 3 of the Stanley Cup final, and then played in Game 4. Didn't play in Game 5. They end up losing. But I'm not even sure I can wrap my head around the pain and the ability of somebody to play through that. What could that experience possibly have been like for him? There's no analysis that comes with this. It's a ridiculous thing that he did. But this also reflects, I would say, even more poorly on Columbus, because this is not the first or even the second prominent example of Mike Babcock being pretty much a bully when it comes to being a head coach of a team. He did very similar things in Toronto. He made, at the time, rookie player Mitch Marner write down a list of players from who he believes works the hardest on the team to the least hardest, and then he read that list out loud to the rest of the team, unbeknownst to Mitch, reduced the rookie Mitch Marner to tears at the time. And there are plenty of other examples with Johan Franzen, who dealt with significant mental health and depression issues because of concussions that were worsened because of Babcock frequently going after him. He's a bully. He's a jerk. I believe he has a background in psychology, and a lot of the issues that came from his time as a coach had to do with psychological games that he was playing with his players for the quote-unquote benefit of the team. Number 3, stalwart St. Louis Cardinals right-hander Adam Wainwright on Monday night became the 122nd pitcher in Major League Baseball to win 200 or more games. The 42-year-old Wainwright picked up career win number 200 with a vintage gem against the Milwaukee Brewers in what turned out to be a 1-0 victory for St. Louis. His last time out, he earned win number 199 after being stuck at 198 for 11 starts. The wait for 200 was much shorter, almost by necessity, given the late hour of the season. It has not been a good year for Adam Wainwright, but you have to imagine he came back with an eye on getting to that 200 number. We know he's retiring at the end of the year, so congratulations for him. Football is back in full swing with another week of epic games. And who's got you covered on the action for every single one of them? DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. New customers can bet $5 on football and get $200 instantly in bonus bets. Nobody's missing out on the action this season. All DraftKings customers can take advantage of 2 new offers every game day this September. The line for today has the Mets favored at minus 127. The Cardinals are plus 102 underdogs. Run line tonight for the Metros set at plus 123 and an over-under of 10 runs on the nose. I'm taking an over in this one, first and foremost. The pitching matchup is such where Wainwright has really, really struggled. Quintana, with an ERA of 3, he's done well, but the Mets have not done great around him. So the conventional wisdom would be to take an under in this one and take the Cardinals. I'm going completely opposite to that because Wainwright has really, really struggled. I'm taking the Mets, and I'm taking an over in this one. I'm going to say that they feast on Adam Wainwright here this evening. The Bats showed up well in a certain sense of the term. They scored 7, 4, and then 8 runs against Pittsburgh. I'm going to take them to do it one more time against another team that's kind of a cellar dweller along with them. They'll beat the bad teams again when it doesn't matter at all. That seems to be a very Mets thing to do this season. So give me the Mets, give me an over, and a win, the first one for Jose Quintana in his time as a member of the New York Mets. We've got more, including Aaron Rodgers in New York Jets camp. The Jets have finished up their spring practice, and people are still impressed with what Rodgers has been bringing to the table. But one former New York Jets coach says that there may be a different emotion and a different way that Rodgers is looking at the situation in New York. We'll talk about the latest with Rodgers and the Jets coming up next. Plus, we've got plenty more about the U.S. Open, which is currently underway out at L.A. Country Club. The leader's doing some pretty impressive things despite some of the conditions around the course in the early going. We'll talk about that. And a near miss on a trade for Kyrie Irving out of the Brooklyn Nets for a team that I'm not sure would have got as far as they did if he was in the mix. All that and more here on The Drive with Charlie and Dan. It's Dan and MJ on a Thursday, and we've got more after this. Plenty more to talk about NFL and beyond here on The Drive with Charlie and Dan here on a Monday. Coming up again at 3:45, Don LaGreca from ESPN Radio New York will join Jim and I on the phone to talk all things New York Rangers as we head towards the Stanley Cup playoffs. One of the best times of year if you ask the two people sitting at the table here at City Line. We'll break down everything going on, Yankees and Mets. A lot of injuries stacking up for both of these teams, so the latest coming up on both of those teams. Some reactions to what we've seen from the World Baseball Classic so far. And, of course, Drive the Lane with you all. Albany Hoops coming up at 6 o'clock. All of that and more here on The Drive. We'll step aside and be back with more after this here on 104.5 The Team, ESPN Radio.